Ellis the Elephant loved America's story, a freedom won with courage and glory. He wanted to know how our nation came to be, an independent country, united and free. In Philadelphia, Ellis read, America got its start, a bustling city with freedom in its heart. But even when the Liberty Bell first began to ring, the American colonies still belonged to the king. British soldiers called redcoats kept watchful command, while from faraway England, the king ruled the land. Ellis was surprised to learn the people had no say about the rules that governed their lives every day. One day, the British declared a new tax on tea. With no vote, the people wondered, how can this be? This tax is unfair, the colonists began to think. Together they agreed, English tea they would not drink. Some thought a boycott was not quite enough. They wanted to show the king they were tough. So one night in Boston, ships full of English tea were raided by the brave sons of liberty. They climbed aboard boats, disguised in the night, and proclaimed to the king, this tax is not right. They threw the tea overboard into the bay. The Boston Tea Party is what we call it today. The king was not amused by the patriots' games. He soon made strict rules, only fanning the flames. I'll close your port, said the king. You'll be an example, and your new government I will gladly trample. The colonists stood firm and tried not to be scared. If the king really meant it, they must be prepared. In Virginia, Patrick Henry saw a revolution ahead. Give me liberty or give me death, he famously said. In Boston, the patriots prepared for a fight, determined to defend their God-given rights. The Minutemen got ready as tensions grew and waited to see what the British would do. The signal, Ellis learned, would be lanterns, you see. They'd light one if by land and two if by sea. Then late one night, the redcoats quietly stirred. The British are coming. Paul Revere spread the word. The British marched early, before the sun rose, to Concord to capture the guns of their foes. The patriots waited, prepared for attack. It was clear, Ellis thought, there was no going back. As the redcoats marched to the Old North Bridge, the Minutemen stood on the opposite ridge. It was here the Revolutionary War came about, as the shot heard round the world rang out. On families, the long, hard war took its toll. Moms and dads alike played very big roles. Many patriots, Ellis was surprised to hear, were so busy fighting they weren't home for years. John Adams' wife Abigail was left home alone to care for their children and farm on her own. She wrote many letters to her dear husband John, sharing advice and cheering him on. In Philadelphia, the Founding Fathers gathered to proclaim, all men are created equal, with liberty just the same. This, they told the king, we believe to be true. Our rights come from God. They don't come from you. Together, the Congress signed a formal declaration. The United States of America would be its own nation. This day was very important, and now Ellis knew why. We celebrate each year on the 4th of July. Ellis learned the new nation would need a flag to fly, a symbol the people would be proud to hold high. It was a job Betsy Ross was eager to do, gladly stitching a banner of red, white, and blue. The nation's new flag was a sight to be seen, with a stripe for each colony, the original 13, a circle of stars, each carefully done, stood for the states, now united as one. General Washington worried his army would splinter as troops settled in at Valley Forge for the winter. "We're tired," they said. "We're hungry and cold. We want to go home. War has sure gotten old." Then Martha Washington, and other women too, arrived at the camp to help pull the troops through. Soldiers spent the long winter training to win. It gave them the courage they needed within. Women joined in as the battle raged on, and just like the men, they were often quite strong. Brave Molly Pitcher was ready to fight, firing cannons with the greatest of might. At Yorktown, the Patriots built a blockade, along with the French, who sailed to their aid. And finally, the British had to admit, "The Yankees beat us. It's over. We quit." The Redcoats surrendered their swords that day and readied their ships to take them away. Ellis was happy all the fighting was done. The long struggle had ended, and freedom had won. Goodwill ruled the day, and the war had ceased. Britain and the colonies would sign a treaty of peace. Though the fighting was over, there was work left to do. Many difficulties still remained between the two. In Paris, they met for the British to concede, and after long discussions, they finally agreed. Freeing the colonies, the king let it be known. The United States was a country of its own. In their new independence, the people rejoiced, and searching for a leader saw an obvious choice. George Washington was a king they could all get behind, but to Ellis's surprise, the general politely declined. "I will not be a king," he said. "It would be a mistake. I did not defeat the British for a crown to take." To Mount Vernon he returned, with its quiet fields to roam. After 8 long years of fighting, Washington was home. America's soldiers then traveled home too. Their bravery had won our freedom. This Ellis knew. Returning to their homes, families embraced, sharing stories of trials and challenges they'd faced. Ellis remembered those who had sacrificed so much to create a better life, and he was truly touched. Now Ellis understood how our independence was won. With faith, hope, and courage, a new nation had begun.